Let's talk about Harvey Weinstein. He is the man who became the face of the Me Too era, not only in Hollywood and the United States, but around the world. Back in 2017, the series of serious and shocking accusations of sexual harassment, assault, and rape against him, with one woman after another coming forward to name and shame him, had sparked what became a global movement. A movement that many had hoped would empower women and end the silence of sexual harassment and assault survivors, as well as the stigma of going public with their stories. While many have expressed skepticism over the years about whether the Me Too movement ever really helped women, a court ruling in the US has dealt a massive blow to those who believed that it had made a difference and marked a new beginning of sorts. On Thursday, New York's highest court overturned former movie mogul Harvey Weinstein's 2020 rape conviction with a ruling that has shocked and disappointed women who celebrated the historic gains during the Me Too era. And worse, the women who had mustered the courage to testify in a case the world watched will now have to brace for a retrial. The court stated that the trial judge had unfairly allowed testimony against Weinstein based on allegations that were not part of the case. While the 72-year-old disgraced movie producer will remain in prison, as he was also convicted of rape in Los Angeles in 2022, the New York ruling has reopened a painful chapter in America's reckoning with sexual misconduct by powerful figures, an era that began in 2017 with the deluge of serious allegations against Weinstein. Me Too advocates have argued with dismay that this ruling is based on mere legal technicalities and is by no means an exoneration of Weinstein's behavior. The original trial had irrevocably moved the cultural needle on attitudes about sexual assault. The latest ruling highlights the challenges of holding powerful men accountable. Many accusers of the fallen movie mogul, including actresses Ashley Judd and Mira Sorvino, have condemned the New York court's decision. Ashley Judd has called it an act of institutional betrayal. She said, "It's a hard day for survivors, but we live in our truth." Judd, who is part of the Silence Breakers group, added poignantly, "Oftentimes, survivors say that the betrayal and the moral injury we suffer within the system is worse than the sexual body invasion we experienced in the first place." Catherine Kendall, who had alleged that Weinstein had chased her around a hotel room nude, said the decision was a terrible reminder that victims of sexual assault just don't get justice. "I'm completely let down by the justice system right now," she said. Now, Weinstein's lawyer called that decision a great day for America. Madeleine Singers, one of the dissenting judges in the Thursday ruling, wrote a powerful note saying, "With this decision, this court continues to thwart the steady gains that survivors of sexual violence have fought for in our criminal justice system." In her stinging dissent, the judge wrote that the majority opinion perpetuates outdated notions of sexual violence and allows predators to escape accountability. This conclusion deprives juries of the context necessary to do their work, forecloses the prosecution from using an essential tool to prove intent, ignores the nuances of how sexual violence is perpetrated and perceived, and demonstrates the majority's utter lack of understanding of the dynamics of sexual assault. She concluded by saying, "Because New York's women deserve better, I dissent." Weinstein has been serving a 23-year sentence in a prison in upstate New York in connection with this particular case. As we mentioned, he's not expected to be freed as of now, as he faces a separate 16-year prison term imposed last year in California after he was convicted for the 2013 rape of an actress at a Los Angeles hotel. That conviction still stands. Before the allegations against him emerged, Harvey Weinstein and his brother Bob were among Hollywood's ultimate power players. Over the years, Weinstein's films received more than 300 Oscar nominations and 81 statuettes. Weinstein's New York conviction had been considered a milestone for the Me Too movement, in which women accused hundreds of men in entertainment, media, politics, and other fields of sexual misconduct. The complainants' lawyers and campaigners have described Thursday's ruling as tragic and a leap backwards for the rights of survivors of sexual abuse by powerful men. The question is, how much of a setback is the latest Harvey Weinstein ruling for survivors of sexual harassment and assault around the world? Is it yet another painful reminder of how impossibly difficult it is to hold powerful men who abuse their power accountable? And how it is still quite meaningless for scores of women to speak out about their horror stories. In fact, many have argued that far from helping survivors, speaking out has only made life far tougher and in some cases insufferable for the accusers, as they are often the ones who end up paying a heavy price rather than their tormentors. Has this New York ruling sounded the death knell for the Me Too movement?
This today is an act of institutional betrayal.
Activists of the Me Too movement blasted a decision by New York's highest court on Thursday to overturn the rape conviction of former Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein. Here's actress Ashley Judd, one of Weinstein's accusers.
I stand shoulder to shoulder with women who have bloody knees, because male sexual violence may knock us down, but we get right back up.
The 4-3 decision by the State Court of Appeals marked a stunning reversal in one of the biggest cases of the Me Too movement. The court said the trial judge made a critical mistake by letting women testify that Weinstein assaulted them, even though they were not part of the charges he faced. The judge who wrote the majority called it an abuse of judicial discretion to permit untested allegations, and said the remedy was a new trial. It will now be on Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg to decide how to proceed. His spokesperson said in an email, quote, "We will do everything in our power to retry this case and remain steadfast in our commitment to survivors of sexual assault." Here's Weinstein's lawyer, Arthur Aidala.
Because of this ruling, Harvey Weinstein will now be produced from where he is in upstate New York back down here to this courthouse, and Harvey will, under this new ruling, be able to take the stand, will be able to tell his side of the story.
Weinstein has been serving a 23-year prison sentence in upstate New York after being convicted in 2020 of sexually assaulting a former production assistant in 2006 and raping an aspiring actress in 2013. Even if he were not retried, Weinstein still faces a 16-year prison sentence in California after being convicted there for the 2013 rape of an actress in Los Angeles. The judge who wrote the dissenting opinion said Thursday's decision marks a, quote, "disturbing trend of overturning jury verdicts in sexual violence cases." In 2021, Pennsylvania's highest court overturned the sexual assault conviction of disgraced comedian Bill Cosby, after finding that an agreement with a previous prosecutor should have prevented him from being charged a decade later.
Yeah, I think we need to ask, what does our judicial system need to do? Not what do we need to do, right? The movement is doing what we're supposed to do. We are out here educating, organizing, building a strong movement. But what does our judicial system need to do? After everything they've seen, after all the evidence, after all the testimony, after all the narrative, what do they need to do differently, right? They need to do their work. We need to lay this burden down at the feet of the people who have been charged with protecting us. That's what they said. It's their job to protect us. So they need to do, the question is, what have they gotten wrong? Not what we've gotten wrong. I'm disappointed, I'm angry, I'm sad, because no matter what work we do, they still keep getting it wrong. So we can't do this by ourselves. They have to join us in this fight. If they believe what they say. You all said this. If you believe what you say, then do the work. Show up and show and prove. These are the moments when you can do it. And when the moments come to do it, they fail us.